Hi everybody, how are you? It's Tuesday and it's Tech Impact. As you know, we have changed our time from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And the reason being is because it's after Ramadan, everyone gets to settle down, some of the children go to bed, and we have time to have some discussions. So again, Tech Impact, 8 p.m., not 6:30 anymore. Again, you can always watch in and tune in because we do post the weekly series every other week. So today we have a really interesting guest and I think a lot of you know exactly who he is. His name is Rayan Najdi. Rayan Najdi is the COO of Geek Express. He is the big geek. Oh, we have Mia. Mia's joined us today. A lot of you know Mia. She's our academy head. Hi Mia. We're waiting for Rayan to click in. We're going to be discussing coding. We're going to be discussing why we're teaching children coding from the age of 5. What's the strength? What's the benefits? How is this preparing them for the future job market? And a lot more. I'm not too sure where Rayan is. We're still waiting for him to click in with us. He should be with us any minute now. And again, yes, Mia, thank you. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Stay with us. We're just waiting for Rayan Najdi to click in. He will be talking about coding a lot more. As you can see with some of the recent stories that we've posted, Rita Lamah has also had her couple of sessions with Peter. And she's quite happy and she's been talking about coding. Now Rayan is with us, so stay.
For what's coming up now. He's nearly there. Hi, Rayan.
Hi, can you see me?
No, we can't see you. You're hiding from us.
Wait.
Everybody, that's the Geek Express office, if you're all wondering. Get Rayan sideways. Rayan, why are you sideways?
I'm trying to. Okay.
Brilliant. So everybody, I'm sure a lot of you know and miss the offices. We haven't, a lot of you haven't got a chance to be there for a while. We do miss you as well at Geek Express. Rayan has the pleasure of being there by himself. So hi, Rayan. I tell everybody that tuned in that we will be discussing coding and the reason why coding is so important. Why have we opened it up for the ages of 5? Why do we think we need to be that young in order to start to learn these tricks of the trade? And what the future job market is going to be like in the next couple of years, especially for those who are just graduating or on their way. So we've got a lot to discuss today. And
I'm excited about it.
Let's start with what is so important about coding?
Okay, so I'm gonna define first a bit about what is coding in general, and then directly afterwards I'm gonna discuss why is it important and why is it considered so important. So basically, coding is the science that allows me to talk to machines. Simple analogy, you can say that humans understand simple languages that we're all used to. Machines understand different type of language, which is coding. Now, with the rise of the machines and the development, there is a law that we know very well known among computer scientists called Moore's law that says that computer power or machines in power and speed are gonna double every 18 months, which says a lot about what's coming in the future. So every 18 months, this power, this humongous power of computers and speed is doubling, which means we need now more than ever for people to understand this language and to be able to communicate to these machines, right? So now we talk about the importance of coding. Experts estimate that by 2030, we will have 500,000 job opening in coding. From a technical perspective, that's a lot of job openings that require this skill. Okay, that's from a technical perspective. Now let's talk about cognitive skills. In terms of coding, coding does not only as a skill that's needed in the market, but also coding is needed to develop. It develops the incremental thinking of a child. It develops not only child, adults as well. It develops the logical thinking. It is revolving around the concept of problem solving. And I'm sure you know every business meeting, every discussion, every class that you have taken, all of us advocate that in the near future, the most important skill that we need is problem solving, and coding is at the heart of that.
So, as you know, we were speaking to Najib Sabbagh last week, and he was talking to us about artificial intelligence and the movement and how we're moving into the fourth industrial revolution, and how it's going to be the millennials these days that in order to drive this market and drive actually Lebanon and the Middle East into a competitive level with, let's say, India and China and the other upcoming beasts, as we would say, in technology. Now, my reason why I brought him up is because he said that even today, if you go to any tech company, you'll usually find that they are hiring. They are always hiring. So
True.
Preparing these children with coding and developing the cognitive skills and everything that you have just listed is necessarily preparing them, not even preparing them, putting them well ahead to be able to compete in the job market. Am I right?
Not only, but to be frank, 10 years ago, I would have said to you, yes. If you learn coding as a child, you are ahead of the market, you are reaching university level, and you are reaching the job market level where you are ready and more than ready. At this stage, coding as a skill is no longer an option. You have to learn it as a child, because at the university level, you can no longer afford in timing and in knowledge capacity to just start from scratch. You need to acquire this knowledge well ahead to be able to enter a university level and dive in deep in a specific field of computer science, be it AI, be it data science, be it cryptocurrency, whatever it is. So just to give you a glimpse, as I said, these 500,000 jobs are now existing and empty and available for our youth to take them. Imagine in 10 years when an 8 years old is going to graduate and enter university, how many jobs will require this skill and will be open for them?
Well, you've got Mahmoud here, and he's saying, to what extent do you think coding will affect the kids in the near future? So if you could answer Mahmoud directly, I'm sure he'd be happy to hear that.
Okay, so thank you for the question, Mahmoud. So basically, coding is one of the most important skills that children need to learn, as I said, from a technical perspective, because it is needed in the job market, and from a cognitive perspective, because kids and teens need to develop their problem-solving skills and iterative thinking to be able to embark on this journey. However, something very important to note at this stage is coding, Sophie, does not only allow me to create programs, it allows me to understand the technology. So at this stage, I am not advocating for a world in the future that's full of computer science or engineers that understand how deep dive coding. But at this stage, an entrepreneur, a CEO, an artist, a painter, a designer need to understand coding, because he will be forced to, he will be compelled to work with machines, and machines understand this language, so he will need to discuss this language or understand it.
Can you give us an example about what you're talking about in order to really stress the point that you are making here? Because I don't want things to get lost in translation, because you are saying that you are an advocate for coding, but you're not necessarily an advocate for necessarily this is the way forward and this is the only way forward. It's something to expand your knowledge base. It's to put you at the forefront. And so if you were, what kind of situation would you find an artist or a designer in where they might face these type of problems?
Okay, I'm going to talk to the very basic level where a designer core job or task that he is handled to does not require coding. Sorry, these are the sensors. Anyway, so basically, let's assume a designer has a company or want to establish a company and wishes to develop a very basic website. He will go to a developer. If he does not understand the basic elements of coding or what is it needed to develop a website, maybe a developer will quote him, let's say, $20,000 for a simple website or a simple job, and he cannot understand why is he quoting like that, what kind of skill or time or man hours, what you call man hours, is needed to develop such a website. So a basic understanding of how websites are developed, and which means a basic understanding of coding, will make him understand and be able to conduct a normal conversation with this developer who is quoting him and advocate for a better price. On another instance, for example, an artist let's say he is designing an environment or he is creating an environment or a painting at this stage. In 20 years, experts say that even arts, let's say like painting, will use technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality to extend the beauty of such art. So if an artist does not understand the power of these technologies and how to communicate with them, he will not be able to cope with the fast movement of the world. So he will be left behind. So in fact, Sophie, you can understand that with COVID-19, what we have been advocating as Geekspress and me especially 3 years now, up until now, has been put to the test. Now everybody is moving online. Everybody is dealing with machines and computers and programs on a daily basis. However, a lot of people are struggling, unfortunately, because we need to understand how these machines work. We need to understand how these stuff work. And the basic element of understanding is coding.
Now, for those that might say that coding is Chinese, you know, it's just a completely different language. It's scary. It's intimidating. It's zeros, it's ones, it's binary. It's all of these things we just don't know, you know. How can you help ease those people into coming into the world and being able to embrace it?
There are many ways. There are a lot of people that worked really hard for the past 20 years to make this experience really easy. What coding was in the 1980s is not as easy as it is now, but in general, you can take very basic coding languages, which teaches you the logic, which teaches you the basic information, what it takes to create simple programs, and then you get to choose if you want to dive in deep in the programs or continue or acquire some general knowledge. Some basic elements, some basic start points you can go with is an online course, a Geekspress course, web development bootcamp. All of these programs are a kickstart that are really easy to kickstart your learning journey in coding. And to be frank, at Geekspress, we had 9 years old, 10 years old, at the age of 10 years old, within 20 minutes, are capable of developing their first Android app, which a lot of people at this stage consider that it is a very hard task, but we're here to prove it wrong.
Definitely. I mean, what makes it so easy for you to say, I can teach coding to a 5-year-old?
Because we as humans have the basic elements to talk to a computer. Talking to a computer is not Chinese. A computer understands the very basic element of the condition. So if you want to simplify coding to the basic level, it's simply telling the computer that if this happens, then do this. If this happens, then do this. So as a child, he is able to learn this stuff, and he is well aware of these conditions even before 5 years old. So teaching him coding at this age is not a hard task.
Now, how do you keep these 5-year-olds interested? I know about it, but again, we are doing this show for everybody who might want to have questions, who might not necessarily have taken Geekspress courses, who are just maybe curious. So how do you keep these children who are 5 years old entertained behind the screen to be able to teach them another language, literally?
Okay, so from 5 years old to 8 years old, kids have to learn through a gamification approach. So whatever coding language or coding platform we are using, it has to have the elements of a game. A student must learn, he will be able to learn by gaining badges, gaining skills, earning coins. His character will cross several stages in the game. And while he is doing that, intrinsically, he is learning the basic element of coding, which, as I said, if this, then that, the basic conditional statements, if statements, all of loops. These are at the core of computer science knowledge.
Now, I just want to touch on something, Rayan, because you've literally just told us through how we teach 5-year-olds. We have been working quite, what do I want to say, really deep, really hard and all night, trying to release our app as fast as possible due to Corona and everything that's happened. We've also changed things, we've modified things, and what is going to be the core of the app that will necessarily give back to the children and be able to maybe engage them further?
Okay, so our app we consider as GeekExpress, we're considering the app as a next step in the whole education spectrum in MENA. It's not a simple app. We are advocating that GeekExpress by end of 2020, we are pledging to our youth, to our parents across MENA, that GeekExpress platform, which is the app, will set the model for a futuristic school, for a new school where kids can learn independently of age, location, and medium of learning. So if kids wishes to learn a certain subject online, alone, on a workshop, through a box, GeekExpress have the relevant content through a comprehensive approach.
I want to stop you there, Rayan, because we have a comment from Noor, and she's saying, if we keep advocating coding like this, won't we get to a point where we have too many coders? Like right now, we might have too many engineers, and there will be a point where maybe it's so competitive, people might not find jobs.
True, but as I said, based on the famous Moore's law, every 18 months, these computers, these machines are doubling in speed and in power. The gap that we need to fill is traveling at a much faster pace than how much we're ready to fulfill it. So rest assured, the world will always need more coders.
Okay, Noor has just piped in again, and she's saying, how can we motivate more girls to do coding? Noor, actually, most of our academy is full of girls, more than boys. Just
yes, we have
girls do love coding. But Rayan can definitely touch on this from the gamified situations and programs that we set up. So could you answer, Noor, please? How do you motivate girls?
So basically, it's a twofold element. First and most importantly, I want to say before I say anything else that girls should embark on STEM. We are advocating that a world without STEM women leaders does not fulfill anything related to what we are advocating. Yes. But in general, Sophie, the first element that we do to motivate girls to join our courses and embark on the STEM journey is by introducing the A in STEM, which is the arts. We teach not only STEM, we teach STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. This element of arts, girls in general like it. And they like to develop, not only code an app, but develop an app and bring it till the end by making its design look nice, by making its extraction eligible for anyone to use it. And that is the main element that was behind having a 60% ratio of girls versus boys.
Zena is asking, what language do you advise a person to start learning? I assume what type of coding language?
Definitely, but that depends on the age level. If we are talking about 5 to 9 years old, we are talking a block-based language. You don't want a kid to start worrying about syntax and missing a semicolon inside his sentence, while the main focus should be about logic. When I am above, let's say, 13 or 14 years old, you can start with syntax-based coding languages. I advocate the easiest one to learn is Python by far, and has many applications across web development, app development, game development, and many others.
Noor is going back to your comment about the girls, and she said, yes, they do excel in creativity. Now, I do remember one of our girls, she was creating a music app, and she was building something like that. Now, could you elaborate maybe on some of the specifics of some of the courses that we do, in case we have some interest here so they know what they're looking for online when they go to the website?
Sure. So basically, we have now our biggest offering is the online live private courses. So you get to meet with your instructor one-on-one, and for a free trial session. After the free trial session, we will be recommending the course, the suitable course for your age and your level. And there are a wide spectrum of courses that we offer, starting with basic block-based coding, then moving to video game design, app development, coding with music, as you said, Python, eventually up to a level where we reach data science and artificial intelligence. So, and the methodology of teaching that we adopt across all of our courses, Sophie, is a project-based approach. We don't mimic a standard class model. However, we teach through project building. At the end of each course, each student will develop a final project to be able for us to understand how much he learned, and for him to culminate his learning journey.
Well, I just want to say, like, what is the importance of the digital portfolio, and how does that give them the leg up into applications for necessarily university or scholarships or things like that?
Okay, so being in the MENA region and especially in Lebanon, we want to boost our students' portfolio when they are applying to universities. To do that and to be able to compete with international students, especially at Ivy Leagues and international universities, we need to give them more than just their school grades. They need to have track record of their extracurricular activities and especially relevant extracurricular activities. In this case, Geek-Express activities, courses, programs, whether be it camps, online programs, offline programs, are registered from day one once they join the academy. They are registered each course, each certification, the attendance they have been, the number of courses and number of hours they have attended, even the projects that they have uploaded and worked on with their instructors will all be culminated in what we call a digital portfolio. This digital portfolio will be extracted as a link and simply put on their digital application to university, boosting their college application.
That's some great news, and all of the parents out there that don't know that we necessarily build a digital portfolio, all of this information will be available in the app. You'll be able to understand more. The app will be released. It's coming out very, very soon. I'm not going to tell you yet. Big surprise. But we are having a build up to it. So all of these things will become clearer. You'll understand the gamification. You will understand the League of Geeks. There are a lot of things coming your way, and we've been working really hard on this for the last couple of months. And just one more thing, Rayan, e-learning. Now, a lot of parents have been thrown into this online learning or e-learning or learning online. There's so many, these terminologies mean so many different things to so many different people. So I know we discussed this in the webinar, but let's just wrap up our conversation today, because I'm sure children are tired of being put in front of a screen. They might miss the outdoors, and however, they're probably going to be behind the screen for a long time. Schools are going to have to adapt. The governments are going to have to adapt. Now, coding is going to become probably part of curriculums, do you assume?
In Lebanon and in the MENA region, especially in UAE, KSA, and Qatar, we have a lot of initiatives that are working on inserting curriculum as a standalone subject inside official curriculums and international curriculums. However, inside Lebanon, we are a bit far, because inserting coding inside curriculums need a bit of an infrastructure, from training of teachers, from technical infrastructure inside schools, from curriculums that are ready to be adopted. So all of this is still missing, unfortunately, in Lebanese curriculums, and we are a bit far, to be very frank, to be adopting inside curriculums, inside Lebanese curriculums, the subject of coding. However, we have some schools already doing that, but these schools are adopting mostly IB curriculums and French curriculums, not the Lebanese one.
Now, how can Geek-Express, I have to ask you these questions objectively.
Okay.
How does Geek-Express necessarily see its future with infusing with the schools and being able to help these schools, teach these teachers how to code, understanding coding, being able to come up with classes for their classrooms, you know, because everything is going to go online. It's going back to that whole point that you came up with earlier, is gamification. And knowing how to code gives you the opportunity to gamify your class, to give inspiration to your class, to be able to change things when needed instead of being so versatile being versatile instead of so rigid. Now, how is Geek-Express's future with schools going to be?
So basically, we started since day one, and we are continuing to do so on collaborating with several...
We're just fast-tracked now. Whoop!
Yeah, due to the big need, definitely. So what we're doing is we're working with schools on two layers. The first layer at this stage, which is much needed, on digitizing their curriculums. As you said, everybody is talking about the online learning, and you mentioned that, let's say, kids are bored from sitting behind the screen. I want to believe that kids boredom is not only because they're sitting behind screen, it's because our curriculums in general around the world were not ready to move to online. When you take a curriculum and you put it on Zoom, it does not make an online learning. The curriculum itself has to be adaptable, has to be gamified to be able to be run online. So one of the collaborations that we're doing with multiple schools in Lebanon and in the MENA region are to help them digitizing their curriculums, are to help them scale traditional curriculums like history curriculums, geography curriculums, even chemistry, physics, and to be able to run them digitally with the technology solutions that are available around the world. That's from a first level. From a second level, as usual, since 2017, Geek-Express has been helping universities, schools around the MENA region integrate coding as a subject inside their curriculums by training teachers, training students, and building the infrastructure for a school to adopt such a subject.
Well, Rayyan, it's just, there's so much going on. The world is changing so fast. We're all having to play catch up. I mean, that's why we've been here, and that's why we started this show, in order to help people understand and educate and just bring everyone closer to be able to take this shift that we all might just have to do a lot quicker than we had planned.
Definitely.
Now, I'm sure you've got a lot of people watching, and a lot of your children are watching. Let's leave them with an inspirational message, please, Rayyan.
Okay, so basically what I always tell my students is that the world needs problem solvers. The world has so many problems to solve, and we all want to assume an active role in this world. To assume an active role in this world, we need to understand the language of what is going on around us, and coding is one of the languages that will enable you to communicate, to interact, and to be an active creator, an active leader in this world.
Thank you. I would have closed, but Nada just asked a question, so I thought we'll just answer that before we say goodbye. And she's asking, should coding be an elective, or should it be mandatory in school?
Coding is a medium, so coding should not be a subject taught inside curriculums as a standalone subject. It should be integrated within traditional subjects. Coding, math teachers should use coding to explain their math lessons in a better way. Physics teachers should use coding to explain astrophysics, for example, in a better way. Biology, even language, can leverage on this skill, on this language, to be able to convey to their students better knowledge.
Rayyan, thank you very much. I know
You're welcome.
From your time, you have so many things going on, and if anyone knows, it's me. So I'm going to let you go and get back to it, and I'll see you soon. And everyone who tuned in, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.